All right, it's been a while since I've come out with another video that wasn't just my Friday reaction video to prog lists. I have a very special one coming out this Friday, so get ready for that one. But yeah, I wanted to ease my way back into, because yeah, the end of September I kind of did a mad dash to the end to try to put out one video every weekday, and I just kind of burnt myself out. So I took a couple weeks off of recording videos and editing them. So yeah, I figured I'd come back in. I hopefully will have a video out tomorrow, and then Friday is the very special reaction video, and then starting next Monday I'll get back onto my usual train. But I figured, what a better way to start getting myself back into it than discussing a band that has a hell of an output, and yeah, one that I really enjoy listening to. So let's dive into this one. Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And I'm also going to tack on their Laminated Denim because it just dropped today and I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, these two albums came out basically not even a week apart from one another. And King Gizz, if you don't know about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, they're an Australian garage rock, indie rock, experimental rock. They don't really confine to any real genre. Like for a while there, every other album was a completely different genre of music. And even though they've, really been putting out albums since 2012, about 10 years, they have already accumulated about 20 to 21 albums before Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava came out last week. So that's like averaging about 2 albums a year. And some years they'll put out 5 albums, some years they'll put out 2. They're very prolific. Their latest release of the Omnium Gatherum, I was lukewarm about. There were some tracks off of that album that I really did love, but I did think that it was a little too long and not all the tracks fit and hit me as hard as I wanted to. I was again lukewarm, not quite like, ooh, I'm so excited for the next King Gizz project. But I was at least intrigued with Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava. I really need to find I really want to, find a better nomiker for that. Essentially, you've got 7 tracks off of here that are either depictions of the ice, death, planets, lungs, mushrooms, or lava, that all kind of came around and were based off of the recordings that they did from the Dripping Tap. I can understand wanting to build a whole album off of that and basically build off of the massive jam session, because this really is a jam rock album, something that, say, like Grand Funk Railroad or the Grateful Dead or, some of those jam rocks from the 70s would put out, but mainly in the live setting, not necessarily on the studio recording, but definitely in their live presence. And it's been kind of called the most collaborative of all of the King Gizz albums because everybody was kind of playing all around and it was much more improvisation and everybody had their own hands within this. And this comes as both a benefit and also a little bit of a drawback to the actual finality, like the actual recording that we have on here, because there doesn't really seem to be any direction within any of these tracks. And one of the things that I did love about the Dripping Tap from Omnium Gatherum was even though there was this massive 18-minute jam session, they still had this route, this destination that they were going to go to within the main chorus of the track. On all these tracks on here, starting with Mycelium, all about mushrooms and whatnot and the actual chemical properties of it, all the way until Galaxy's 710, again, talking more about the planets and all that kind of thing. I didn't quite feel like there was any direction with any of these tracks, even though the shortest track on here is Lava, and it's probably one of my favorite tracks off of here at 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Even within this tight punch of a track, it does still feel like a jam session. It does feel much more like improvisation, just seeing whatever comes, allowing for music to come and go as they please without really relying on the traditional song structure to help weave the songs through. For me, who loves a good jam session, who loves progressive rock and loves music that, I still believe that the ultimate runtime for a track, like the perfect runtime, is anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes. Seeing that these songs are really well within that time constraint, I don't know, I wasn't as thrilled about the tunes and the tracks on here. Now, I still loved and I still had a great time with each of the tracks on here, but like I said, there's no real direction that I'm feeling on this. It does kind of feel like it's coming and going without really surveying too much, without really digging up any kind of gold or any kind of like jewels within the rough in that kind of a sense. There are a few points, especially on, as I mentioned, magma and lava, when we're talking about, the lava aspect of this piece, that some of the more stay power is starting to come back to. There's a little bit more of a catchy aspect to it. There's a little bit more teeth on the meat on this bone to really get myself into. But I do feel like once we get into Hell's Itch and Iron Lung, especially within Hell's Itch, the longest track of about 13 minutes and 27 seconds, I was really hoping for something a little bit more of a build-up and payoff. It almost felt like the album of quarters, where each track was 10 minutes and 10 seconds long, and then just took that idea and expanded it so that each track could be anywhere between that 6-minute mark all the way up to the 13-minute mark. But I have kind of the same issue that I have with quarters as I do with this album. It's just the songs don't really go anywhere. It's just a massive jam session without any real forethought, without any real destination planned. It's just, we're going to walk through the woods and see what comes. Unfortunately, unlike moments within quarters, there's only like a varying few moments of real beauty, in my opinion, like something that pays off within this longer of a runtime. And about here, I'm actually going to switch over to talking about Laminated Denim, because I feel like what they were attempting to do with Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava, I feel like they actually accomplished here on Laminated Denim. It's following the same kind of jam sessions, the same kind of idea that they put down with Timeland, basing these jam sessions going into the album with the idea of doing a jam session all around like this ticking clock, this root cause of this tick, 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 that then allowed them to play with these polyrhythms, to allow them to, have a little bit more of a direction, have a little bit more of a constraint within them. And they put out 2 tracks at 15 minutes exactly, The Land Before Timeland and Hypertension. And both of these tracks have really beautiful nuggets of gold on them. I love the fact that they really expanded upon their jam sessions within Timeland and really brought forth something very, very beautiful in this. Like, I'm loving the jam sessions on here. It feels like they have a very astute and clear picture of where they want to go with a lot of these tracks. It feels much more realized, and I love the jam sessions on this one. It doesn't just feel very arbitrary. It doesn't feel as though these things are just going wherever they want them to go. They feel a lot more, on the one hand, organic, but on the other hand, much more planned out and thoughtful. And I actually have been loving Laminated Denim a lot more than the predecessing Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava because of that. It's only 30 minutes exactly because of the runtime of the 2 tracks that are on here, but I found myself loving them that much more because of it. And if that's not enough, we have yet another King Gizzard album coming our way very, very soon. I think like next week. October 28th, Changes is coming out next Friday. So, or I guess 2 Fridays from now. Yeah, so we still have yet another King Gizz album to look forward to. They're definitely pulling out another 2017, but this time we had Made in Timeland, Omnium Gatherum, Ice, Death, blah, 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 Laminations, and Changes. So we've got another 5. So in the end, I will say Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava is one that I still would stream. I still will come back to it. It's still miles ahead of what they were putting out with KG and LW and Infest the Rat's Nest. And it wasn't quite as good as the highest moments from Omnium Gatherum, but at no point does it ever suffer the same drawbacks that I had for Omnium Gatherum, even though they're both about the same runtime, and that was one of the biggest issues that I had with Omnium Gatherum. But I will say that Laminated Denim is one that I absolutely love with my whole heart. This one absolutely will be one that I return to. I friggin' loved it. I will be returning to it. It's my favorite King Gizz album of this year, and probably my favorite of theirs since probably Fishing for Fishies. Yeah, we'll see how it ages within those last couple of months within 2022. And we'll see what Changes is all about coming in a couple of weeks. So there we go. Those are my thoughts about Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava, as well as Laminated Denim. What did you guys think about these two albums within the massive repertoire that we have for King Gizz already? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you think we're entering the diminishing returns of King Gizz, or do you think that they still have quite a bit of gas left in their tank? Let me know all about that by commenting down below. And finally, I wanted to end on a new project that I've started with my friend Grace Hayhurst. For those of you who don't know Grace, she is a multi-instrumentalist, mainly guitarist, doing a lot of progressive metal stuff. So her and I have done our own little podcast called The Metalhead. It is a meditative podcast about metal music. It updates every other Friday. We have our 4th episode dropping this Friday, just at the end of this week. So if you haven't already listened to it, now is a great time to get in on the ground floor. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, Grace and I have great conversations about metal music. Generally, we tackle current events, do some album reviews, and then have a really fun discussion at the end of the episode. So hopefully you guys will tune into that. Hopefully you guys will check that out. I'll leave the link down below for you to check it out, and I hope you do. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.